Imagine a predator so silent, so precise, that its target never hears it coming. Now imagine that predator isn't an animal. It's 9,000 tons of hardened steel, gliding through black ocean depths like a ghost with a grudge. No sunlight, no escape, and somewhere inside that pressure hull, 50 torpedoes sit armed and waiting. This isn't a Cold War thriller, it's real. This is the Seawolf class attack submarine, the most expensive, most advanced, and arguably the deadliest underwater weapon the United States has ever created. And it wasn't built to send a message, it was built to end one, quietly. The Seawolf was designed in secret and forged in fear. In the 1980s, US intelligence agencies confirmed that the Soviet Union was producing a new generation of ultra-quiet submarines. If the US couldn't hear them, it couldn't stop them. And that meant a potential first strike the US wouldn't even see coming. So the Navy responded with something radical, an undersea hunter that could dive deeper, move faster, and remain quieter than anything on Earth. A machine that could win a war without ever being seen. That machine was the Seawolf. Its body is wrapped in anechoic tiles, sound-absorbing panels that muffle the sub's acoustic signature, like insulation in a recording studio. Its pump jet propulsion system replaces noisy propeller blades with a near-silent water jet, making the sub virtually invisible on sonar. Its S-6W nuclear reactor delivers power for over 30 years without refueling, meaning it can spend decades at sea without ever needing to surface. And the hull? It's made of HY-100 high-yield steel, allowing the sub to dive to depths well over 1,600 feet. Though the exact number is still classified, that's nearly half a mile beneath the ocean's surface. It's more than stealthy, it's fast. The Seawolf can travel at over 35 knots underwater, outpacing destroyers and older subs with ease. And thanks to its enormous bow-mounted sonar array, it can detect other vessels from over 100 miles away. One sailor described it like listening for footsteps in a cathedral and hearing someone breathe. But speed and silence only matter if you're armed, and the Seawolf is loaded. This class of sub carries up to 50 torpedoes and Tomahawk cruise missiles, packed into 8 660mm tubes, twice the firepower of the Los Angeles class that came before it. The torpedo room is clean, industrial, and clinical. No drama, just racks of weapons designed to end ships in seconds. Those tubes can also launch naval mines or, in certain configurations, support the deployment of undersea drones and SEAL delivery systems, especially aboard its most secretive sibling, the USS Jimmy Carter. But here's the twist. Only 3 Seawolf-class submarines were ever built. Why? Because each one cost over $3 billion to construct, more than an aircraft carrier at the time. Originally, the Navy planned to build 29 of them. But when the Cold War ended and the Soviet Union collapsed, political momentum evaporated. Congress questioned whether such an expensive machine was still necessary, and the program was slashed. Still, even among those 3 subs, one stood apart. Not because it hunted better, but because it listened, and what it listened to was never meant to be heard. You've heard of submarines that launch missiles. You've heard of submarines that hunt other submarines. But what about a submarine that disappears from public record? A vessel so secretive that even its missions are classified and its interior has never been photographed. That's the USS Jimmy Carter, and it doesn't just patrol, it eavesdrops. Officially, it's the 3rd and final Seawolf-class submarine, launched in 2004. But unofficially, it's in a category of its own. At first glance, the Jimmy Carter looks like its sisters, sleek, black, and built for deep ocean stealth. But look again, and you'll notice something strange. It's longer. About 100 feet longer, with a raised section in the middle that breaks the silhouette. That addition houses a highly classified system, known only as the Multi-Mission Platform, or MMP. The Navy won't say exactly what it does, but nearly every defense analyst agrees. It's designed for undersea espionage. Think about it. Over 97% of the world's international internet traffic flows through fiber optic cables laid across the ocean floor. And unlike satellites, these cables carry unencrypted communications because they're considered physically secure. Now, imagine a submarine that can find those cables at the bottom of the sea, splice into them without detection, and plant recording devices that capture everything. emails, phone calls, military transmissions. The USS Jimmy Carter is believed to do exactly that. This isn't some conspiracy theory. It's rooted in history. In the 1970s, the US Navy ran a top-secret operation called Ivy Bells, where divers from specially modified submarines tapped Soviet communication cables in the Sea of Okhotsk. The operation worked until it was exposed by a spy. Jimmy Carter is widely believed to be Ivy Bells reborn, but with 21st century tools, remotely operated vehicles, divers deployed from dry deck shelters, and advanced signal intelligence gear. Satellite imagery has shown the Carter returning from multi-month deployments with unusual wear patterns on its hull, consistent with seabed operations. And while other submarines make routine port calls and appearances at naval events, the Carter rarely surfaces in public at all. The Navy doesn't deny its existence, but it does avoid talking about it. Inside, life aboard the Carter is just as intense as the missions it carries out. The crew operates in near total silence. They don't wear boots. They wear soft-soled shoes to reduce noise. They don't slam hatches. They ease them closed like someone shutting a door during a robbery. They don't speak above a whisper in sensitive areas. There's no sunlight, no outside contact, no internet. The crew gets burst transmission emails, short text-only messages sent through encrypted satellite links. Phone calls, forget it. Entertainment comes from a hard drive loaded with movies and shows, curated in advance by morale officers. Some sailors say watching the same film 3 times in 1 week isn't uncommon. They sleep in triple-stacked bunks, known as coffin racks, with privacy curtains and reading lights. Many of them hot rack, sharing beds on alternating shifts. The sub runs 24/7, and everyone is always either on watch, on call, or sleeping in the dark. When Jimmy Carter leaves port, it disappears. Not just physically, but digitally. No tracking, no updates, not even within most of the Navy. Its movements are on a need-to-know basis, and that list is very short. The sailors who serve aboard Carter are some of the most technically skilled, psychologically vetted, and operationally trusted personnel in the US military. They don't just handle pressure, they live inside it, hundreds of feet underwater, knowing that their mission might never be acknowledged, even after they retire. They're not just crew, they're ghosts who listen, and somewhere in the darkness, they're still listening. The Seawolf-class submarines were built to be unstoppable, and in every measurable way, they are. They're faster than anything else underwater, quieter than sonar can detect, deadlier than any surface warship could ever be. But in a twist worthy of military irony, they were too good to survive. Originally, the US Navy planned to build 29 Seawolf-class submarines, making them the new backbone of America's undersea dominance. But the world changed. By the early 1990s, the Soviet Union had collapsed. The deep ocean arms race, the very reason Seawolf was born, was over. Overnight, the sub went from being a necessity to a Cold War relic in a post-war world. And then came the price tag. Each Seawolf-class submarine cost over $3 billion, more than an aircraft carrier at the time. Congress balked, defense priorities shifted, and the program was slashed. Only 3 submarines were ever completed: Seawolf, Connecticut, and Jimmy Carter. But these 3 became legends. Because the Seawolf wasn't just good, it was generations ahead of its time. Naval analysts still describe it as the pinnacle of fast attack submarine design. Even now, no known Russian or Chinese sub matches its combination of stealth, speed, and firepower. It was designed to do one thing better than anything else on Earth: hunt silently, kill instantly, leave nothing behind. While its Ohio-class cousins carry ballistic missiles as part of America's nuclear deterrent, the Seawolf was never about threats. It was about execution. If you heard it, it was already too late. But as conflicts moved closer to shore, fighting pirates, insurgents, and rogue states, the Navy needed flexibility. So they introduced the Virginia-class, modular, multi-mission, and less than half the cost. It was a trade-off. The Virginia-class could do more types of missions, but it couldn't do any one of them better than the Seawolf. Still, the decision was made. The Seawolf's era had ended before it truly began. Or had it? Because now, the world is shifting again. In the South China Sea, China is expanding its underwater footprint, laying new seabed sensors, building advanced submarines, and militarizing deep-sea cable networks. Russia is rebuilding its Arctic submarine fleet, deploying long-range missile systems beneath melting polar ice. Suddenly, the Seawolf's original mission, deep ocean dominance, is back on the table. And guess who's still out there? Despite being over 2 decades old, the Seawolf class remains a ghost in the water, a weapon without equal, a reminder that some tools were never meant to be mass-produced. They were meant to be irreplaceable. When a Seawolf deploys, it disappears. No AIS beacons, no media fanfare, just a whisper between high-level commanders. It could be parked off an adversary's coastline, or under the Arctic shelf, or shadowing a foreign submarine from half a world away. And no one would know. Inside, the crew operates in total silence, hundreds of feet below the surface, where there's no light, no second chances, and no rescue. Every decision is high stakes. Every mistake could cost lives. These aren't just sailors, they're tacticians, engineers, and elite warriors trained to vanish. They don't deploy for glory, they deploy so that wars don't have to happen. Because in the high-stakes game of global deterrence, the Seawolf doesn't posture, it waits. It waits in the dark, it waits in silence, right below your feet. And if the day ever comes when it's needed, it won't announce itself. It'll just be there, exactly where it was always meant to be.